Hello and welcome to my 666 tutorial. I want to provide you guys with a tutorial to one of my favorite maps of all time, 666. And even though this is a tier 6, if you're a tier 1 surfer, tier 2, tier 3, you can find a good challenge in this map because every stage gets progressively harder. Where you have like stage 1 being kind of like a hard tier 1 bonus, and then it just kind of keeps going up and up and up. No further ado, let's get started in 666. For stage 1, what you really need to focus on is just good boarding and using all of the ramp. I will try my best to try to move my mouse slowly. Remember to use a low sensitivity and be able to move your mouse slowly across your mouse pad. And I think you should just practice moving your mouse slowly just like this. Because some people really have a problem with moving their arm, and you kind of have to get used to moving your arm slowly across your mouse pad. This will let you conserve a lot more speed. And then once you do that, you'll be able to conserve your speed and flick off this first ramp well enough to make it to the second ramp. Something that's super important about catching the second ramp is kind of catching it parallel with the ramp itself. And I'll show you what that sort of means. It means that you kind of attack it from behind so that you kind of board the ramp sort of in line with the ramp. And that's sort of it. That's just something you're going to have to pick up over time. So what we do is just move our mouse really slowly, using all of the ramp, try to pick up the ramp parallel and flick back up. And then this final ramp, I think you can just kind of avoid that bumpiness section and just make it just fine. And that should be your tier 1 complete. Good job. Alright, we can move on to stage 2 because I don't think that last bump really needs an explanation. We don't really need to. We can just kind of surf through it. Alright, for stage 2, we're going to be doing the same sort of thing, using the entire ramp. Sometimes the ramp itself will sort of flick upwards. You see that sort of flick at the end. And because of that, you don't really need to flick too much. If you try to flick with a ramp that's flicking, sometimes you can hit max air acceleration and lose speed. And this is another one of those instances where the second ramp, we want to kind of board it parallel, and you'll kind of see what I mean. Instead of boarding it, from the side here like this, that's sort of I'm sort of like I'm slamming down on the ramp if I do it like this. What I want to do is kind of come from behind, and that way I can board the ramp parallel with it, and that way we can get a good continuous flick. And you'll see that with all the ramps I'm trying to hit here, is that I'll move my mouse slowly and firmly throughout the entire ramp as soon as I make contact, and that will let us launch again and again and again. Pretty much the goal of every one of these stages is to conserve your speed. You start with a maximum speed, and you just want to make sure you don't lose your speed. And the way you don't lose your speed is by conserving your speed. And that just means boarding ramps parallel so that everything is beautiful. Let me keep going and explaining some of these other ramps. So one of the ramp types that you have to do is sort of like a fast catch to a slow pull up, and I sort of do that twice. You can see it with this second ramp here. Watch as I catch it. I will catch fast and then do like a slow pull up. Same with here, catch fast, slow pull up. And that's because I don't need maximum height. For this last one, I do kind of need maximum height. But for those first two, or not first two, but those two ramps, you don't really need maximum height. You want to launch kind of lower because you kind of want to get a far distance launch. And so for this last ramp, what I find is that just boarding it really high, I don't know if you saw that, boarding it high and staying high can be, it's just this is a very tricky ramp because we have a lack of room here, and we sort of need to make it to this section here. This is our goal. And if you go off the bottom, I've definitely had trouble where I've tried to wiggle and it's not very nice. Where if you kind of come off the top here, you sort of are already launching in a direction that's towards the end. This end ramp is something that you're just going to have to feel out because everyone sort of ramps differently. And so you're going to have to feel out what feels natural for you to make it all the way to this black void here. I'll do it one more time because it's a little bit tricky, that final ramp, but let's see if I can find a different way of doing it. Probably not. I don't want to give you too much hope. Catch. Let's go a little bit lower and let's do a little bit of a wiggle. Yeah, you could do something like that. But anyways, that's stage 2. Let's go into stage 3. Alright, stage 3. My original recording of this, I started ranting about small mouse pads. Make sure you have a big mouse pad, but maybe I shouldn't rant about that forever. If you're running out of space, make sure you get something big enough. Alright? Because you don't want to be running out. You need a low sensitivity. You need to be moving your arms slowly for these ramps, but don't be running out of space. And you can see that for this section here. We would just want to slowly, these are fast catches to slow rises, just like the second map. It doesn't matter too much, by the way. If you're wondering about this first ramp, should I catch it all the way up here? We are not falling from a great height. We are falling from, 50 meters. So because of that, we don't need a lot of catch, right? Like, that's all what we're doing is we're falling from a distance and we're using that ramp to convert our falling speed into horizontal speed. And because we don't need to convert it all, if we're falling from a great height, then yeah, sure, you might need to use the entire ramp to capture all your speed. But here, we're not too focused on that, so we can kind of just take it blasé and still make it to the second ramp. But if you look at the strategy I use, it's the same fast catch to slow rise on the ramp itself. So, catch to slow rise. And the same for this one, catch to slow rise. And now the tricky part here is that fast turn. I'm pretty familiar with it, so, but this turn here gets people all the time. It is very tricky to try to hit it right if you're new to surf, and what I can recommend, because you kind of need to do a sharp 180, is sort of attack it like if you were playing a racing game, and that's like to say that you're in a car and you have a bit of weight. You kind of want to take it wide, and also just do a fast turn when you get there, because you will lose speed. Normally it's not a good idea to turn too quickly, but because of the fact the ramp is coming right up right after that turn, you can turn pretty quick. You can lose your speed, and it's still pretty a-okay. So turn, catch, and that's what you need to do. And I'm gonna make it look a lot. I remember learning this, I remember everyone else learning it. It's much harder than I make it look. That quick catch, you might be a little bit shaky. Let's do a little bit of a save, maybe save luck. So after you do that catch, you just want to do a small lift. Again, it's one of those things where it's like as soon as you do this difficult maneuver, you need to go back into slow mouse moving territory. So we go like this, we do a spin. Maybe we do a little bit quicker. And as soon as we catch that ramp, we gotta start moving our mouse slow again. This is like... And as soon as we start doing that turn, we gotta start moving our mouse slow again. And that's to make it to this ramp, and then as soon as we make it to that ramp, we're doing that slow mouse maneuver again. And I find that first turn and just that catch is the hardest part. So if you have difficulties with it, don't worry too much. It is very hard. So we want to turn really quickly, move our mouse slowly, catch. These two next catches are just regular ass ramps, but you know, after doing all this tricky surf, you can feel like you're kind of on edge. So just relax, slow big mouse movements. You'll probably feel a little bit nervous, a little bit jittery, but that final ramp there is, it's not a slow one, it's sort of an upwards launch, and it's not too much of an upwards launch. If you launch upwards too much, you will just hit the roof. They were really being a little bit tricky with that one. But they do give you a window. They do give you plenty of opportunity. You just have to take your time. I pray for you all if you're on this one. It's a good challenge. Good luck. It's a good one. I guess I got nothing more to say. Alright, here we go. Stage 4. A classic. Oh, beautiful mechanics. I love this one because of this drop down to drop down to drop down to catch. And let me just show you what that looks like really quickly. Drop, 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 catch, up. I hit the little bit of wall there. But that is a very unintuitive thing, because some people like to catch and get all of the speed on every ramp. And that means they go as low as possible. And they want their horizontal speed that we see in the middle of the screen to read the highest value. So they do something like this. And they make it very hard for themselves. What you want to do is think of yourself like a ball of energy, a ball of momentum. What we want to do is we want to keep and conserve our falling speed. So what I want to do is I want to catch this, and I don't want to come off this ramp low at all. And that's actually because if I come off this ramp high, it leads me to a better falling direction to catch this ramp parallel. Like I was saying with the first two maps, first two stages. Being parallel is very important, and falling from higher allows you to do that. Another thing that I'm doing is that I'm not flattening out at all. I don't need to get maximum horizontal speed on these first 3 ramps. Not important one bit. What you will be doing is conserving your fall speed. So you're going to be underneath my horizontal speed. I have something called Z speed, and that's your falling speed. And that speed, even though I never get maximum horizontal speed for the first 3 ramps, is that I'm keeping and I'm conserving my Z speed. And I'm at the very bottom of these ramps. That's where I convert all of that Z speed right here into horizontal. That ramp is where I do it. So I kind of delay it. I kind of move it. I push it off. I fall. I don't catch it all. I fall. I don't catch it all. I fall. I don't catch it all. And then this final ramp, that's where I use it all and I launch. And that's the way I get so far. Another thing. Catch is this ramp. I find people have a really hard time with that third ramp. Not everyone, I don't know what it is, everyone seems to want to flatten out. Try your best to not flatten out on this ramp. So many people flatten out and then they can't get to the bottom of this ramp. It's sort of it's sort of important to reach the bottom of these ramps, and that's to get the most, what I call, explosive speed. And that's the speed you achieve that will start your launch. So we want to reach the bottom of this ramp, and in order to do that, we can't flatten out on this ramp, because if we do, we hit the ramp like here, and then we get nowhere. We can't hit there's just no room for it. We run out of room. So what I will try to do is kind of catch, but not like flatten out completely. I'll flatten out a good amount, and then I drop off, so that when I hit this ramp, I can use the full ramp, and I can really flick it. Oh, we're in the wrong stage. So let's show you what that looks like. So this ramp here, I don't flatten out all the way, and then I catch it so that I can do a launch. I think that's the most I can explain for that part. But this next part, again, it doesn't get easier. If you thought that first part was hard, oh, let me show you this next part. So we go up, we launch, and now we got another tricky tier 4 BS. This wide turn. This wide turn is tricky. So, as you may or may not know, if you turn too quickly, you lose speed. And turning too quickly there and losing speed can make you fail this ramp. So what you need to do is preemptively think about, oh, I'm going to be taking this, I need to turn really wide. So I need to take this really wide. The ramp is right in the middle. It's right here. So we obviously don't need to aim for the middle. Aiming for the middle will require us to turn pretty much immediately and instantly. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it a little bit wider, and we're going to turn into it and then cross over and catch the other side. And you can see how much of a launch that gives us. And if you can conserve your speed throughout the launches, you can make it to the end easy. But it requires these first two sections to be done correctly. And it's also kind of important, I would use a turn bind here. If you don't have turn binds, I put them on Q and E, and I kind of make them backwards. So if you want to use turn binds, maybe do that, or bind them to mouse key. But these last two ramps, I don't know if there's any secret to them. You just need good speed, and if you have good speed, you'll be able to launch into the end zone with ease. It's just these first two sets of challenges that you need to complete. One last launch, let's go. Launch, 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 launch. And there we go. Stage 5. And here we have Stage 5. And if there's one thing that this map wants you to take away, it's moving your mouse slow is good for you. These first two ramps, I don't think there's any secret to them. They're just kind of, hard ramps. You might need to play them through a few times. But this first ramp, second ramp, to third ramp. This third ramp, you kind of need to ramp up really slowly. So I was talking about like a catch and slow rise. This is like catching like molasses, because you don't want to be hitting the roof. Anytime you hit the roof, you're kind of deleting units, because you're kind of launching yourself up and then you don't really get the same downwards velocity you would have got if there wasn't a roof there. So you kind of delete those units you would have potentially would be able to save. So we kind of just want to hit the ramp, and then we almost ride the ramp up so slowly we're not even moving the mouse. And that will just let you save the most amount of units. And then we want to catch, and then catch again. And on that second catch, what you need to do is move your mouse very slowly. I will show you demos of moving your mouse too quickly on that ramp and how it just doesn't work. You want to conserve your speed, and in order to conserve your speed, you need to not stress your air accelerate. So this is what it usually looks like. Easy makes it. And you can see this one here, easy makes it. And I will do a demo trying to strafe too quickly. Let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we get a better launch than that. See, if you do a fast flick, I don't think you're going to be able to make it. So it's really one of those maps where it really teaches you, do a slow, big molasses flick, and you will get rewarded for it. Same with that ramp there, and same with these last couple of ramps. It's just all about tuning in your ramp, doing one big strafe, and getting the right launch. And the more you can precisely target that strafe, the more you will be able to launch yourself into the air. And I'll just show you what that last few ramps look like again. There's no secret to them. The secret is to be molasses slow, I guess. And to board every ramp parallel with the top of the ramp, almost like you're not boarding at all. I'm hitting the roof. Come on. Get one good launch. And you can see I just want to move my mouse so slowly. I'm not even too worried about launching too high. That's something that a lot of people are concerned about. And the biggest reason I'm not concerned about launching too high is because I know that if I hit the next ramp, I'll be able to, whatever height I ridiculously launched into the air, I'll be able to catch it on the next ramp and utilize that height into, speed. And then we have stage 6. Oh. Alright, this is stage 6. And this stage is scary to so many people that see it. And I'm going to watch my replay, actually, because of how long it is, just for this stage. I just kind of want to show you all the different parts to it. So there's a lot of people that play this map, and I love this map because it's got like a tier 1 challenge, a tier 2 challenge, tier 3 challenge. And this final challenge is like an entire linear. And people kind of get annoyed with how long it is. And all I have to say is that, yeah, it kind of is. It's a long ass fucking stage. It's almost like an entire linear. And in order to complete this linear, you're gonna have to just sit down and complete it. You're gonna have to suck it up. And you're gonna have to move your mouse slowly for 50 seconds straight. And it's going to suck. And you'll finally be a pro surfer. Or something like that. I don't fucking know. Alright, let me show you how to do stage 6. First few ramps are pretty slow and regular. Big slow flicks. That first ramp has a lot of curvature, so I don't flick too much on it. Try not to hit the roof. Catch all of these ramps using as much of them as possible. That's another thing. Sometimes you can be detrimental to yourself. If you catch ramps too aggressively, sometimes they can give you like no room to actually utilize the ramp. So sometimes you might want to like board it further back just so that you can kind of get nicer, easier strafe on your next catch. This ramp is a challenge. This ramp is just a tricky ramp. I have nothing to say besides they made it's a nice little tricky one to try to catch. You kind of have to get a lot of speed and catch it quite high, but not too high. Same with this ramp here. We want to catch it really low and let the ramp do the work. You will need a slight bit of upwards momentum, but letting the ramp do the work is how you're going to get really far on this horizontal ramp. This ramp is also another one of those really tricky ones people find. So if you maximize your units coming into this, it will make it as easy as possible. You can see that I'm reaching very high on this ramp, this next ramp. And that will just make it as easy as possible to like ramp it and get the most speed to make it to this next ramp. I see a lot of it is hard. A lot of people don't really make it as far as I do there. Some people like catch it like right here. And yes, do your best to try to copy what I'm doing here, where I try to catch the bottom of the ramp and just do a subtle flick. And that way you'll be able to catch it much higher, utilizing more of the ramp to drop into. But then, I guess all I have to say is that this ramp is just a little bit tricky. And if you have trouble with it, you just might need to go through it a few times practicing. And this next ramp, we want to do a slow rise again. But we want to make sure we're taking this turn wide. Because I want to be over here and I want to catch on this right side here. And because I know that, I sort of attack it as if I'm kind of launching for the middle here. And then I turn. I think I've lost all my units. Hold on. Alright, here we go. I don't know if I actually lost all my units or what, but there we go. That's a little bit more what I expected. Alright, so we want to go down. We want to flick kind of to the right-ish, just so that when we turn left, it can be a little bit smoother, because we don't want to turn too quickly. If we turn too quickly, same sort of problem where you just kind of delete units, and I don't recommend doing that. Don't delete units. Keep your units. Conserve your speeds. So, and this next ramp, what I really want to recommend, I see a lot of people naturally want to fall to the lowest part of the ramp, which makes a lot of sense. You always want to get the most speed, but it makes this next ramp really tricky. So this next ramp, if we are too low, it's sort of hard to catch. You can do it, and I've done it so many times I can kind of do it. But what I really recommend is falling from higher up. You can see this ramp. If I stay higher up on this ramp and then fall, it just makes that catch slightly easier. And you really need a good catch for this next ramp, because you want to move your mouse slow again. And being able to catch the ramp all the way back here is super important. If you catch it over here, it's almost impossible to get the dip down you need. We don't want to perform something like this. We want to perform something like this, and getting really low will get you more explosive speed, getting you a better launch. Let me see if I can do a bad launch. Maybe. Not quite. And a better launch by using all of the ramp. Okay, that's okay. I want. Maybe they were both bad launches. Let me try one more time. I think I gotta do a slower. I put too much paint down, and now it's kind of throwing me off. Okay. Okay, maybe don't go as low as I was saying. I was recommending too low. All I'm saying is that you need a little bit of dip. Dipping down will get you that speed that you will need for this final. So, come off high, try to go as low as you can while being smooth on that ramp. You can see how smoothly I boarded that previous ramp, and oh, gave me a good launch here. And the same, we want to board it parallel, and this is a perfect ramp for parallelism. I just board it so perfectly. It's just, you have speed and you just board the side of it. Oh, another one of those slow rise ramps, and that's because of the shape of the ramp. We actually need to make great distance. We need to curve through all this, and we need to make it to this ramp here. And because of that, we don't want to just kind of rise up of it normally like a lot of people try to do. You want to trick the ramp. And the way we trick the ramp is by rising slowly, right? But at the very end, you give it a little bit of a love flick. Give it a bit of a love tap. Love flick. Look at that. Little flick. Oh, I hit the wall. Love flick. Fuck. Okay, too much of a love flick. Love flick. I don't know why I call him that. Okay. Now I'm just screwing up. And there we go. We made it to the last ramp. And that's how you do that. So you just kind of want to slowly rise. And then at the last moment, just give it a little bit of a flick. Just get a little bit more height in there. And it's far superior to make it than not to make it. So it's worth doing the flick. Oh, try not to hit the roof. And try not to hit the walls either, I guess. I feel like my turn speed's too high. And for this final one, we kind of want to do a similar strat. We want to do a long extended ramp to a flick. This final flick is kind of particular. It's not easy. And they expect you to try to practice it out. And it is kind of similar to this flick here. So you kind of want to go up it and do a fast flick. And so let me save on this ramp. And let me see if I can do... There we go. And so that's what the final ramp looks like. We kind of want to hit the ramp. And kind of go up it really late. If you board it super early, like over here, you kind of almost want to just ride it out and then flick up at the last moment. It's one of the only ramps where I would tell you to like really delay it, because you kind of only want to do the flick once you're right at the very end in order to get like underneath that roof, but far enough to launch yourself. The last flick is really hard, and I hope you get it. That's my tutorial for 666. I hope that was helpful. I hope someone found that helpful. Have a good day. Bye-bye.